Got a question here, I think it's a good one. Final Fight asks, why do some kama have holes in the blade? Does it make them faster or better? And that's very interesting because we see a large variety of kama these days and it can be tough to know what's the difference, is there a point to any of it, which direction should you go? And to really find out if the more modern kind of kama are at all better or faster or more appropriate, we need to first look at what kama are and what they were used for. So what I have in front of me here is a traditional kind of kama. You'll notice it has a straight, as in non-designed blade here, and it has a long hardwood handle, usually oblong, sometimes round. And the more modern kind of kama have holes in the blade. Sometimes they have stripes or indentations or whole parts of the metal missing. So let's take first a look at where these came from and what their purpose was. This sickle type weapon is something that comes up in most agrarian societies. So as opposed to some unique weapons like the sai, which were originally a weapon or a controlling tool, imported into Okinawa and then put in amongst the regular tools, this sickle here was originally for farming. So you can imagine the crops on Okinawa, such as wheat and sugarcane and to a lesser extent rice, they needed to be harvested, and this is true in not just Okinawa but in a lot of cultures. So we see something like this for harvesting. Now, the question of how long and how short they are deals with both the culture and the physicality of the people. So in some cultures we see two-handed sickles, kind of a Western type thing, and in others we see shorter ends like this. Now, a lot of Asian cultures are low to the ground just in general. They have a strong communication with the ground in their home life, in their work life, and in their farm life. Not to mention the Okinawans are short people just in general. So something of this length made a lot of sense to be down there and to be working. Now, in order to take routine use, this had to be very hardy. It had to be durable. So you would use solid metal and you would use solid wood. No joking around. Imagine if you had a series of holes in your kama and you went down to clear some brush. Every time you went down to clear brush, some stalks would stick up into those holes. So you'd have to pull it back out. So now you're using twice the amount of energy and effort for every pull than you have to. From a farmer's perspective, that simply is not economical. Now, let's take a look on the other hand. Let's say you're going to a tournament and you need to impress judges, you need to do something to stand out, catch their eye. The holes or these stripes might be something that interests you. Another factor, the weight. If I'm trying to clear my way through crops or something of that nature, I actually need a little heft. So if I come down and I'm chopping, I need something a little more top heavy to actually gain momentum as I come through. Gain momentum to make that chop. Now if I'm in a tournament and I desire to do quicker hand motions of some variety, maybe a little less weight up top is desirable. Also, let's take it to the next step. The Okinawans were interesting in that they took this from a tool to a weapon. Not all societies did that, and Kobudo from Okinawa is probably the most well known for using this as a weapon due to their historical circumstances. So, if my goal is to chop through someone's arm or hook behind their neck and pull them forward and create a can opening type of slice, gaining momentum as I did that cut would be beneficial. So in that way, these are fast. However, if I need to do some sort of twirling type of gymnastic type of maneuver, then perhaps less top heaviness and more center weightedness would be desirable. So in that case, taking some of the metal out would balance the weight for more of a middle grasp as opposed to an application standpoint, which is a lower grasp. Another factor to consider is noise. Some people will be able to manipulate their modern kama into making some sort of a whistling or other type of noise. This can be good to gain attention, but from a traditional standpoint, it doesn't add value. In fact, it would actually weaken the metal along the angles, so when you're making contact or you're making block, even though you generally don't block straight on with a kama because you'll end up tearing it apart, you use parrying type of techniques for the kama. Nevertheless, when you're trying to make your cuts, you want as strong, solid metal as possible. If you weaken that with holes, it could collapse, it could chip, it could break, and things of that nature. So, all that being said, in regards to what's better and what's faster, of course that's going to be determined by your need. But it's important to recognize the difference between application, historically accurate weapons, and modern tools of entertainment and display.